Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Bree92 and it says, am I overreacting for pressing charges that might ruin someone's life? Okay, so there was this girl I know. Saying girl, but she's actually 43 female, who I had met through a group of not so close friends. We'd hung out a few times and, to be honest, I didn't really like her. She seemed really selfish and self-involved, lacked a lot of common sense, like she would constantly fall for scams and didn't know how to Google a cell phone number, and eventually revealed herself to have some really gross viewpoints. I decided to cut her out completely last fall. I've ignored her since then, but last night the girls I met her through came to my apartment and, surprise, they invited her without telling me. We were just there to pre-game before going out, which should have been fine. However, at some point during the night, I caught her coming out of the master bedroom. When I asked what she was doing, she mentioned that she was using the bathroom. This made very little sense because there was a much closer empty bathroom to the front of the apartment. But I thought maybe she was drunk. I should note she was holding a book bag. Anyway, we went out and later that evening I got back. My fiancée is away, so I had the place to myself. I was getting ready for bed when I realized something. My medication, some expensive jewelry, and cash were all gone from the sideboard in the bedroom. In total, it was about $10,000 plus worth of things, including really important presents to me. I immediately suspected the girl and called her. She played dumb, but I said I had a home security system after a break-in. Total lie, but it was all I could think of. And I had her on tape stealing last night when she was in the master bedroom. She completely folded and started making excuses for herself. Well, I'd also recorded the phone call, and after saying I wanted all my things back, I called the police, who I spent most of today's morning speaking with. In short, I can file charges and she might get grand larceny as well as other charges, especially because she took controlled prescription drugs, Valium and a small amount of serious painkillers. It doesn't look like this would go to trial, especially since I live in a one-party consent state for recording and have her admit to taking my things on recorder. However, she would likely have this on her record, have to pay fees etc. and lose her job. With this on her record, she also wouldn't be likely to get another job. Right now, I'm completely furious and actually want that for her, but if she returns all the stuff she stole, to the very last dollar/pill, then I feel like chasing down all these charges would be me ruining her life because I don't like her. So, am I overreacting for wanting her to be charged? We've seen situations like this before and, the general consensus is to always press charges. Think about it. She stole $10,000 worth of your belongings and controlled substances. There's a thought process behind this. She purposely went to your room, snooped round looking for items. At any point she could have stopped this, but she didn't and stole from you. And I wonder how many other people this person has done this to. And everything thereon is consequences of her own actions. You're not ruining her life. She's done that herself. And I kind of think, if she gets away with it this time, if it was the first time that she's ever done it, which I highly doubt, then who else is she going to do this down the road to because she can just get away with it? But Successful Pirate says, press charges OP. She confidently walked into your place with a bag and a plan. Another thing to note is why did no one else think a backpack on a night out was weird? More than likely that wasn't just hers. Check your whole friend group because I would have questioned that immediately. If you don't hold her accountable, she'd do it again, and it will probably be the same mutual friends who could be warning by doing this at all. I hope all your things are recovered. Good luck in the future. Sending the best vibes. Opie says, thank you for the reply and the vibes. I'm really hoping to get my stuff back ASAP. Though I feel like it's likely she already took the meds / used some of the money. That said, this all happened in the last 24 hours, so I don't think she would have pawned anything. Especially because I confronted her last night. The bag was weird because we were going out, but she also works as a teacher, and previously, when I've seen her, she doesn't always dress to match the scene. I've been out to clubs with her before and she always had a backpack / large bag and dressed very businesslike. Called me, says, press those charges. She knew what she was doing was wrong and even lied about it. She's 43, not someone who stole from the cookie jar, especially the fact that she stole your meds. No regards about your personal health. Opie says, thank you for the reply. I'm really upset about the medication because she didn't just take the fun pills, which I don't use for fun. I have muscular spasms and the painkiller was from a previous surgery. But all of the medications I take, including Zofran and others, which I need to take to control a serious chronic illness. Missy Gray replies to that saying she knew exactly what she was doing. If it's her first time getting arrested for this crime, the punishment might not be great, but it'll probably make her stop and think before doing it again. She's not a 12-year-old doing something without thinking. She purposely did this. When you asked her what she was doing, she lied. She could have easily gone back to the bathroom saying she left something back there and put the items back, but she didn't. Don't go soft on her. That's how people continue doing this bad behavior. Michelle says, I can guarantee you this isn't her first time. Please press charges and maybe for once in her life she will have consequences. If it's her first offense, they will drop some of the charges and probably require some therapy. Which would be great if it isn't her first time. Then she obviously hasn't learned anything and needs a stronger sentence. Whatever she returns will look good for her during her sentencing and only help her out, but she should absolutely have real accountability for her actions. So Opie came in with her first update in the same post and says, she mentioned she doesn't have all the medication that she took in a very recent text to me, as I took your advice and just WhatsApped her saying that I wanted everything down to the $/pill. She also doesn't have all of the stolen cash because she used some of it last night. It sounds like after I left the club, she stayed on for a bit and then taxied to her place in a different borough. She did say her mother could Venmo me, but the whole thing is a mess, and her reaction hasn't been apologetic at all. It seems pretty obvious she's panicking because she knows I went to the cops / want to press charges. And the job that she would lose is being an elementary school teacher. In our state, they do extensive background checks, source being my friends who are teachers, so there's no way charges wouldn't come up. Hope he adds another update and says, I want to reply to everyone one by one since this has really been eating on me, and I really appreciate all your advice since the situation has been a complete nightmare. She'd come into my place at around 7, unless she decides to flake, but has also been contacting me non-stop through various channels, begging me not to go to the police. One problem here is that she already admitted to taking some of my medications, and as one kind Redditor pointed out, I would need a police report to get those sort of controlled meds prescribed again. The drug thing is also especially bad since she took all of my prescriptions, including ones that you wouldn't get high / can't be sold, but I need to manage daily chronic illnesses. My fiance said that maybe since she knows I need them and previously cut her out, she did that as revenge, but I have no idea. My fiance and twin sister are planning to be at the apartment when she comes, but this whole thing has been upsetting and stressful, and had an impact on my work, and just has made me second guess myself. Anyway, thank you again for all of the advice, and I will reply directly. Also, I agree that I need to find out what she was planning to do with the drug since she is around young children. I was already nervous that she teaches elementary school in New York City because of the aforementioned viewpoints she has that made me originally cut her out. Update 3, LSS, I am pressing charges. She did come by my apartment when I had my people over to give back my things, and what was left of the medication and cash. I didn't let her get past the lobby and had also told my doorman about what happened, who are amazing and were keeping eyes on the entire situation as well. Anyway, I'm taking the majority of the amazing advice I received on this board and pressing charges or not dropping whatever charges are in place since I filed a police report. As other people on this board stated, I needed to go to the police no matter what or I wouldn't be able to get refilled prescriptions. And as even more people on this board stated, I shouldn't trust any of the drugs she gave back to me because she may have tampered with them. Ultimately, I'm going through with the police because even though I couldn't find anything on her criminally after paying for a background check on her, it's likely she has done something like this before or would do it again, and more importantly, she stole drugs and she works with young children. If something happens, it's on me for not doing anything, and this, combined with her past behavior, makes me wonder if something more is going on. I completely have sympathy for anyone battling with addiction, but at the end of the day, that's not more important than the kids she works with, or the fact that I'm battling with chronic illness. I was able to get emergency refills of 3 days of non-controlled pills from CVS earlier today. I still have to go ASAP to 2 different doctors with a police report come Monday, which means time off a job. I just started, and it's a lot. For what it's worth, the entire interaction with her was awful. I didn't think she seemed apologetic, and that though when I originally confronted her, she said she did it because she was drunk. She was now acting like she did it as a joke. She did start crying, which made me feel worse, but I still want to go through with the police. Anyway, I seriously appreciate everyone who took the time to read through this entire saga because it has been incredibly upsetting and draining. All your advice was really and truly helpful, especially in getting me to see I needed to go through with the charges and to be super wary of any medication I got back from her / the next steps. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, I needed this wake-up call. And I think Opie did absolutely the right thing in that situation. I can't help but wonder how many other people may have. Obviously, you don't know, but it's a sad thought to think that she may have robbed other people in the past as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from the True Off My Chest subreddit, and it says, "My wife cried because she was cruel to me, and still haven't been able to stop thinking about it." Hello, I've never posted here. I'm sorry, I really don't know how to start to tell this story, especially because I know it makes me look like a total prick. My wife and I have been together for around 4 years, married after 6 months dating, and it's been mostly a dream since then, except for this one thing. She just likes to laugh and goof around, and a lot of her joking around tends to hit in the opposite effect than intended. I'm not normally going to get upset about that kind of thing. It's not an everyday thing, but maybe weekly. Okay, ton of context out of the way now. Last night my wife and I both had a hard day at work, I think. We didn't get to talk about it because the minute we got home there was more work. You know how it is. Dogs made a hell of a mess. Yeah. So we've been pretty stressed and out of it, and all I wanted to do was watch a movie she picked out and go to bed. But then she decided it'd be funny to drop a couple of jokes about my appearance, specifically about one aspect of that appearance I have problems with. That day, I was just so tired and upset already, and I just looked at her and said, "Ow," and she laughed again. But I didn't drop it, and I insisted on an answer to why she would say that about me. She asked what I meant, and I asked what response she expected when she made fun of me for my appearance, particularly part of it that she knew I felt bad about. I almost did the children's empathy talk, and how would you feel if someone did that to you? But I knew that would be condescending and wrong, so I didn't. Anyway, I wouldn't have gotten much out because this is when the crying started. I didn't get to see it stop for long all night. Just big, heaving sobs and shaking, telling me that she thinks she's going to have a panic attack all night long because I scared her by being so serious. I'm not an angry person. I've never been violent. I never moved from the seat when I brought up the mocking thing. She had no reason to think that, and I could think of only one reason for her to cry like that, and this is where I'm going to sound like a prick and why I'm doing this anonymously. She saw that I was calling her out for making fun of me for no reason and wanted to change the vibe and feeling in the room as quickly as possible, to instead focus on her having an episode. This isn't the first time that this has happened, but it's the first time I've noticed a pattern. Step 1, she upset someone. Step 2, she would have a panic attack if you don't comfort her right now, actually. Step 3, I shove aside any and all feelings I have on the matter, no matter what it's about, apparently including mocking me. But if I didn't, she would have a genuine medical episode and we could wind up in the hospital. If the person offended is not me, they may also be brought in for emotional support, but I will be. Do I really think that's what it is? I want to say no, but part of me does. Don't get me wrong, 99.999% of me isn't a prick, but that very small part is something I cannot stop thinking about. And I don't know if I want to bury myself alive or go to marriage counseling because one of us has a problem. Because if she is doing that, what? But because she isn't, instead I have the problem, and currently feel like I'm going through some kind of psycho werewolf transformation type thing. Total normal and cool with my wife right up until the full moon is out, and then I turn into a rabid animal and accuse her of faking her mental health diagnosis apparently, like the monster you are. Look, I didn't think you was wrong for turning it around and saying, The, as you call it, children's empathy talk, and how would you feel if someone did that to you? Because that's exactly it. And I don't think you're a prick in this situation either, because I was thinking exactly along those lines. I thought, she knew she fucked up, so it felt very manipulative thereafter. And why? Why would she think that would be acceptable to target something that you mentioned yourself that you're insecure about? Why would you do that to a loved one? Imagine going up to the person that you're meant to love the most in this world and targeting something that they're insecure about. How fucking awful does that sound? And that's exactly what she did. BC says the next time little Missy starts hyperventilating, let her hyperventilate till she passes out. At that point, she should be breathing normally. Cover her with a blanket and go to bed. Don't you just love it when your spouse weaponizes their mental illness? Live Music says, OP, your wife needs to take accountability for her actions and words, regardless of her mental health. In my eyes, there is no excuse that she can't own up to it and say she's sorry and truly work on how she behaves, especially since she pushed your button and went in for the attack on something you already indicated is a sore spot for you. NASA says, look up Darvo. Analyze replies that saying 100% this should be much higher up. Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. An interesting pattern that suddenly shows up in many places once you start noticing. Did you notice how you, the victim, was suddenly and without warning were labeled the offender, and the person that was originally called out for their attack is now blaming you for all that is wrong? Darvo. And OP, you're not crazy. Understanding the mechanism might help you feel more sane in the situation, OP, and it might help in deciding on your response. Please look this up. Absolutely. We haven't seen people mention Darvo in a very long time, but yeah, too true. And that was 8 months ago. But OP's come in with an update and says, so I didn't think I would update because after we talked about my thoughts on the issue, it was an even bigger panic attack and sobbing and asking if I thought she was evil and all this other stuff that made me feel like a devil incarnate, forever even beginning to doubt her. We went back to the usual and I had to deal with more of it. I didn't mention in the last one, but this issue she had didn't just apply to me. It was for everyone and everything that could upset her. And no matter what therapy or med she was prescribed, it did nothing at all. It wore me down so bad I was sleeping badly and just about lost my job because I couldn't focus because what if she had a panic attack at work? What if I wasn't there and she needed me? I've been genuinely talking about her quitting her job, at least until we found something that worked to combat the stress and anxiety she seemed to be feeling all the damn time. All of which made me feel all the more pathetic after I found out she was cheating on me. The guy worked with her and reached out to tell me because he didn't know she was married. I knew I couldn't confront her in person because her reaction would likely make me think the guy made it all up. Somehow, despite having the text, he showed me from and to her number, and photos I'd rather not discuss. I just moved out and took my dog. Calm down, she never even liked him that much. Hasn't asked about him once. Anyway, I texted her that I knew and was going to talk to a lawyer and asked that she did the same. A lot of crying voicemails and saying she didn't know what I was talking about, followed by trickle-truthing in text messages while I was on my friend's couch. We're still in the middle of everything. It is pretty cut and dry. Hardly any marital assets worth speaking of, and the lease is in her name. I honestly am surprised by how little heartbreak I actually felt, coupled with a weird sense of relief. I definitely thought getting cheated on would be the worst thing anyone could do to their partner. But if it wasn't a dick move, I would thank her. Anyway, thank you all so much for the advice. Even if I was too stupid or weak of spine to take it at the time, it was helpful for just a little bit to not feel crazy. Inky says on the back of that one, I'm sorry you went through such an awful time. Your wife is a piece of shit who uses anxiety and stress as a manipulation tactic, and one that is really good at hiding cheating and other unethical behaviors. Your reaction or lack thereof is a very valid response. You've been consistently belittled and bullied by someone who was supposed to be your safe space. I wish you peace and happiness for the rest of your life. And one more comment from Truthful Boy who says, hey, so that was an abusive relationship. Girl is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. People like this need to be the victim. They're essentially the Broadway-worthy brats of life. Congratulations on finally leaving and taking your pup. Please get therapy. The amount of psychological damage she has given you must be a lot. You're empathetic like me, which means we try to understand bad behavior and help. Nope. Mental health is one-person adventure, and love isn't enough to fix anything. Love is actually the number one reason people like us stay in abusive relationships. When you're ready, choose someone who is so wonderfully stable and actually able to healthily be in a partnership. Trying to change someone is a fool's errand. Absolutely, I'm glad that OP was able to get out of that relationship. It did sound absolutely awful, full of manipulation, but what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.